100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today at 01-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. There's a couple of accidents still getting some attention out here. It's really starting to crank up now on 240 East from Mill Branch out to 385 Billmores Parkway. It's trying to thin out from that backup we had earlier where they just cleared that wreck about maybe 30 minutes ago on 40 East at Highway 64. Again, that's improving that traffic flow that's headed back out towards Fayette County on 40 going eastbound. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
We're making Sports Time. Brian Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and a lot of people have been keeping an eye on Hurricane Milton. It made its way through last night, and right now at least, it's still the plan is game on Saturday between Memphis and USF. So let's go ahead and talk some Tigers with Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg, thanks for joining us. You and Eli had Ryan Silverfield on the show earlier this morning, and it sounds like the plan is still to play this game Saturday afternoon against USF. Is that still your understanding, the plan?
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen. First of all, let me say before I answer that question that my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Florida in the wake of that hurricane, including my sister and my brother-in-law who are down in Orlando, and obviously this was a very powerful hurricane and a strange one that went west to east right across the Sunshine State from the Gulf of Mexico into the Atlantic. So quite unique, quite strong, and there's a lot of people down there without power and have lost their homes, and certainly we hope that the number of fatalities are very, very low. But to answer your question, I'll just give you what I know. This morning, as you know, and as you just said, Coach was on with us and said that as far as he knows, the game is still on for 2:30 on Saturday after it was originally moved from Friday, and that the team was preparing for that game. And nothing was going to change them until they were told something differently in their preps. Then we met with the coaches for our meetings that we do weekly for the game. And we left the meetings again with the understanding that we would play tomorrow, 2:30 in Tampa. That right now is still what we're hearing, but we're also hearing that there's perhaps some conversations going on. And I'm not sure if the news of the Tampa, not the Rays, but the Lightning, the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey game. Now, obviously, it's a different venue. But that game being canceled played a part maybe into kind of look at the situation again. I don't know. All I know is this. There was a lot of hours that certainly was used today to assess the situation, and they're probably not done assessing the situation in Tampa. So when Coach was on and when we had our meetings, it was still the understanding, and certainly this afternoon up until this moment, still the understanding that that's the game plan. But again, I'm hearing that maybe some conversations are happening, and I don't know if that will alter. I do know this. A football game, I believe, is going to be played this weekend. And right now, again, all I can tell you is as far as we know, 2:30 kickoff in Tampa tomorrow or Saturday.
So when you talk about this game on Saturday, we know Byron Brown has been listed as day-to-day. What is the latest you've heard on his availability and what that means for the Tigers in this game? Because we saw what he did last year here in Memphis.
Right.
In that game. He was electric. Hadn't played as well this season, but what would that mean for this game if he's unable to play?
Yeah, he got banged up in that Tulane game. He played most of that game, though. He's a dynamic dual-threat quarterback. You know that, Brian. Everybody knows how good this kid is. And certainly Memphis is preparing to have to go up against him. They are coming off a bye week, as is Memphis, so certainly that gives the walking wounded time to get much better, and hopefully for their sake, Brown is able to play. For Memphis, they know that not only is he a dynamic player, but they have a couple of other quarterbacks who they talked about in our meetings today who they think are very, very good. The system doesn't change. Goalish and that hurry-up system that they instituted at Tennessee, that's what he brought to Tampa, is that fast play, get the plays in, get the plays off in 25 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever the case may be. That system does not change if Brown can't go. But I know that they are preparing for Brown. Yes, absolutely dynamic. Here's a guy who half the time, when he does run the football, half the time they're designed run calls for him, usually quarterback draws. But the other 50% of the time, if he's under pressure, he has that escapability, and he'll take off. There won't be any hesitation. So he's a very, very dangerous quarterback.
And Greg, so you feel certain sometimes this weekend there's going to be a football game played?
Yes.
How are the Tigers? Has it just been full steam ahead? I mean, how one eye on the Weather Channel, one eye on the game plan has it been?
Yeah, look. I mean, again, if you believe what Ryan had to say this morning, and I do, and then what he said to us in private, basically the players' focus has been on the game, and they can't. Then again, he also, and I think he said this on our show this morning, so I'm not giving away any trade secrets. He says they're still 18 to 23-year-old young men, and sometimes their thoughts can wane, and who knows if when they're home and alone, if they were watching the Weather Channel and looking at the possibility of the game not being played or whatever the case may be. So for the most part, he's very, very happy with the way they have prepared for this game. Of course, last week they had the bye week, so they had a few days to take off and rest and relax and get ready, get their bodies ready to go. So, yeah, I think the focus is there. Both teams in the same boat. Of course, with South Florida, they had to relocate to Orlando to practice. Memphis was full steam ahead here in Memphis preparing for this game.
Yeah. I know there's been some injuries in the backfield at running back. Obviously, I know you probably learned some information in your coaches meeting that you can't share with us, but, vaguely speaking, how is the health in the backfield, especially with Greg Duosier?
Yeah, they're getting healthier. He feels the team is pretty darn healthy at this point. Obviously, with Sutton Smith, he's not going to play this year, right. So you're not going to have Sutton Smith. And the hope is Duosier is able to come back and play. But right now they've had a great tandem in Mario Anderson, the transfer from South Carolina, and the reemergence of Thomas, who has been sensational. Brandon Thomas is a touchdown machine. And so those two guys have done a really nice job. Good thing for Memphis that they were deep at that running back position coming into the season.
Well, it should be very interesting. Last year was a wild one, 109 points scored.
Oh, my gosh, was it? 59 to 50. I don't know what to expect in this one. Memphis' defense, now, mind you, it was not good, as you know, Brett, in the Navy game. But other than that, against some teams that are struggling, albeit I understand that, their numbers are really, really good. So defensively, can they keep this South Florida offense in check? That's a big question. That'll be one of the games within the game. And if that's the case, it might be a little bit lower scoring than we're used to, certainly lower than 109 points from last year. But I do want to caution people if they look at that 2-3 record and they go, this is South Florida. They're not good. This is an easy win. This is one of the two games I picked before the season for Memphis to lose. And I have a lot of respect for South Florida and their athletes. They're able to bring in a lot of really, really good athletes. Now, they have played Alabama, they have played Miami, and they played Tulane. And I can't explain why they were decimated in that Tulane game, but they were. I don't know if it was because they had just lost to Alabama and Miami when they hung in there for at least a half of the game and looked like they may take those two powers down to the wire, and that wasn't the case. So I don't know, but I think when you have 2 weeks to get ready for your next opponent, I think South Florida probably had some good practices and have figured it out. But as far as 109 points, yeah, I would be shocked if we had that kind of a shootout again.
That's like
but
3 overs.
Oh, my gosh. That game was just nuts. It was good for stats.
Mm-hmm.
You were the players, like the quarterbacks in that game, Brown and Hennigan. You put up some huge numbers. But you could still have a shootout. It wouldn't surprise me, but I would suspect it's not going to be a defensive battle, but closer to a defensive battle than certainly the shootout we had last year.
Greg Gaston, our guest, he's with us. He's on the Tigers sideline. He's with us every single morning as well. You can hear Greg with Eli Savoy every morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. every week. He's with us, brought to you by Dyer's Hamburgers, Crab Kings, and the Crazy Coop. So last year had that wow one in the last game. Both of these teams, it feels like it's been forever since they last played. In the last time out for the Tigers, Seth Hennigan's long touchdown pass streak was broken. Time to start a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And it does feel like it's been forever, and the coaches made note of that as well. I guess 2 weeks is it's time to get back on the football field. And with Hennigan, there's many, many things I like about Seth Hennigan. His leadership, even though he's technically an amateur, the professionalism, the way he holds himself up, the way his accountability for when the team struggles, and the fact that he just does not care about stats. The only stat he cares about, the only numbers he cares about are W's. And so it was really no big deal to him when we talked to him after that game against Middle Tennessee State that the streak had ended. It's a shame he was tied with Mariota, second all-time. But, yes, it's time to start a new one. Now, when we asked, I want to say it was Rock Taylor. It may have been somebody else, though, Brett. After the game, they were – oh, I know who it was. Sorry, it was Jonah Gamble. He was shocked. He goes, what do you – oh, my God. He didn't even realize, again, that the streak had ended, that he didn't throw a touchdown pass, and he's one of his key offensive linemen. That's how dialed they are in games. They're dialed in. They're not looking at who's scoring the touchdowns and who's getting the stats. And so, again, with Hennigan, I don't think it means much to him. I'm sure he would like to put up big numbers and the team win every single week, but I think that's secondary to winning the football game. If they win a 10-9 battle and he doesn't do much, as long as he's not turning the ball over and giving South Florida or any other opponent those other opportunities, those second and third opportunities, I think he feels pretty good about his performance.
Guarantee it. Take care of the football first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Greg, I know yesterday on the morning show, y'all talked a lot about next Tuesday night, the exhibition game for Memphis against North Carolina. You had Parth on. Y'all had Chris Boyson from St. Jude on. Tell us a little bit about what you learned in that conversation from Chris Boyson yesterday morning about this event next Tuesday.
Well, look, the three of us and everybody listening know what St. Jude Children's Research Hospital means. And what they're trying to do, not only make this an annual affair and hopefully a regular season event where maybe it's 4 teams, maybe it's 6 teams, who knows, but to put Memphis on the map kind of with that preseason or regular season, beginning of the year tip-off classic, which benefits St. Jude. That's the goal. But I already knew that this was in the talks for a while. That they wanted to do something like this. And this is the first step. But Memphis needs to put its best foot forward. And it's tough. Right now, it is tough in Memphis with the university to sell tickets, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, for whatever the reason is. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, man, you have to use your money to go to support this worthy cause. But it would be nice if you did. And a city as large as Memphis is, I don't think it's asking too much to get, 10, 12, 15,000 people for an event like that. Now, again, it's an exhibition game, but North Carolina, it's not like North Carolina's walking through that door unless it's a regional. They're not usually coming to Memphis to play. And you have South Carolina on the women's side, the defending national champions. So your chance to go and see two powers in men's and then in women's basketball, and to see the Memphis teams with their first dress rehearsal of the 24-25 season, much anticipated after the year last year the men had. So I think it's going to be a great event. Now, what's tough is obviously it's a Tuesday, it's a school night, it's a work night. You know, the tickets are, you know, they're not free, they're not cheap. But again, the cause is what matters to a lot of people, and hopefully there'll be a lot of late editions. A lot of people will buy their tickets over the weekend, Monday, and maybe even get a bunch of walk-ups. And we have a great crowd on Tuesday to put our best foot forward, and then hopefully, again, this becomes an annual event.
Greg, but how many more times on a Tuesday or on a school night or this or around the holidays, how many more of those examples, of those excuses do we need? You know, back in the spring, we just sold nothing. Of the 8 regional sites, we were the least few. We were the fewest tickets sold for the NCAA tournament. Tiger basketball reported the scan count reported, verified, the lowest in the Penny Hardaway years. It's never been great in the Penny Hardaway years. When are we going to get down to Penny's got to win games to sell tickets?
There's no question. I mean, you hit it right on the head. That was very disappointing, the NCAA regional ticket sales.
That wasn't his fault for ticket sales at the NCAA tournament.
No. But it's all about drumming up the excitement about basketball. Now, again, the Grizzlies, hopefully the Grizzlies will have the season that we all hope they will, and there'll be droves of people that'll be going to those
record
games.
Renewals.
Right, and they'll get excited about basketball, but it bleeds over, hopefully, to the college team in the city. And I know there's smaller colleges, but we're talking about the University of Memphis, which was once considered basically the pro team here in the city. Now you have the Grizzlies, and that, of course, that kind of bites into the whole thing, right? The entertainment dollar, the Grizzlies kind of bites into that whole thing. But you're right. If you win and you win big, people will – it's like Field of Dreams. Mm-hmm. Right,
it is, and I do believe
definitely come.
I do believe next Tuesday night by tip off, whether it's corporate Memphis or just St. Jude, papering the place, I think it will be representative. But I wonder what the hard and fast number for them to go forward to even try it again in exhibition form or in full, in multi-team event form, what it's got to be, because I don't think there's any chance to get there in real tickets matching up with dollars. I do think they will paper it and save face.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is. And going back to what Bryant asked a couple questions ago about Chris Boyson being on the show, I basically addressed that question to Chris. I didn't ask him for specifics, but I said, how important is this as the first one to kind of showcase what you guys want to do, and will a poorly attended night certainly do damage for the future? And the game's they're already on for next year. We know that. We're told that so next year there's going to be. But as far as long term, he said, yeah, a lot will have to do with how the people show up and show out, how it goes, how it's received. Remember the first game will be on I don't know which ESPN, but it'll be on national TV. I don't think it's a Plus game. I think it's an ESPN or ESPN2 or something like that.
I think it's ESPNU, if I recall.
Okay, ESPNU. So, there's a lot of people that can sit home and watch. That's another thing, too, right? People can sit home and they can watch. Where were we 30, 40, 50 years ago? Yeah, a few games were on TV. That was it. There's only a few networks. Now you can watch it on your watch, on your phone, on big screen TVs. You can watch every single game just about is on. So it makes it a lot easier for folks that don't want to go out and pay concession stand prices and pay for parking and all that. But I still believe that the true fans, the diehards, they're going to want to go and see the games live and in person. There's nothing like the live game. I know, Brett and Brian, you understand that. There's nothing like being there. But I also understand the plight of people in this day and age that the convenience of staying at home.
I sure do
That's
too.
the dilemma.
Sure.
But you're right. The only way I think, and it's not even a guarantee, but the only way I can see that people get the excitement of wanting to come back in droves and watch games for the local teams, whether it's in Memphis or anywhere around the country, some are better than others, is the team winning and winning big.
I think everything you just listed certainly plays into it. The kind of the pie chart for just so much money for entertainment, and the Grizzlies seem to be. I think that they've carved out certainly their share of the pie, if not the largest share. And I do think this economy we're in, even with the cheap $2.60 gas, I think this economy is rough. The recession has been real, but I don't understand why we're still. I mean, we had big crowds for a lot of years with the glut of TV games. With the Grizzlies have been in town, now starting for the 24th season. This isn't like back to the halcyon days of them moving into the pyramid. We've had all those factors, and I even hear some references maybe to crime and going downtown at night. Well, is there only crime and going downtown at night an issue for a Tiger game, but not a Grizzlies game?
No, I mean, if that's something that bothers you, you won't go down for either. If it doesn't bother you, certainly the Memphis Grizzlies fans are going there. And here's another thought, though. With the Grizzlies, and even though you're talking about more expensive tickets, the product, forget about last year, but the product, there's nothing like the NBA. This is the top-of-the-line basketball in the entire world. And so the excitement, the players that you get to see, the players on the home team, the players that are coming in, kids love that. So, and then another thing too is, remember, this is a melting pot city, as you know, Brett. And so a lot of people come here for jobs, whether it be FedEx or AutoZone or International Paper or St. Jude or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
And they fall in love with the team, the NBA team. They don't necessarily fall in love with the hometown college team. So it's a lot, and the block tickets, the suites are purchased from those companies for their employees.
But we've been a melting pot for a long time because, I mean, the SEC influence isn't new here.
There's no argument. Your point is well taken, but I think it's a combination of a lot of things that's finally catching up.
I agree. I think it has been a culmination, and first and foremost is the product on the floor for Penny's Tigers.
No question about it. They have to go out there and look. Nobody's expecting things like we did last year, and it started out great, and there was excitement. That's all part. Well, maybe this year a little bit under the radar. They go out there, they play.
It happened in Kendrick's year. It did.
Exactly.
That was under the radar, and the first year with Jeremiah have been my two favorite years of the 6 years of Penny. The first year everything was Greek, everything was new, and everybody was excited. And Jeremiah was somebody you could really pull for. And then that Kendrick year just kind of snuck in there and had that great year with him, and ended horribly, but had that great year with him.
That Jeremiah year was fantastic. I thought he coached out of his mind. Jeremiah turned into a really, really special player, and the other guys were, they did their roles and things like that. And it's almost like with KD and DeAndre, they were the two studs, 1A, 1B, and everybody. That
was Bryant's favorite player, Mike Parks.
Oh, I love Mike Parks.
Mike Parks lumbering down the court. Yeah. No, but I think there's a lot to say about not having too much talent or too many egos or too many big names. When you have a few and everybody else accepts their role, I think those are the teams that are scary. And maybe this is the team this year that can really sneak up on people. They're going to be challenged early in the year. There's no question that they should run away with the conference. Look, UAB looks to be okay, but if they don't win the conference, again, that's a big problem. It is a conference that they should dominate and at least get into the tournament. But maybe they can do some damage in the tournament. We'll find out a lot early with that vaunted schedule they play. But maybe they'll all come together and there'll be great chemistry with this team.
Greg, I know we're running along, but I heard that segment with Parth the other morning, and when he read those Bart Torvik numbers on the teams after Memphis in the AAC, I mean, you need the Hubble telescope to find them.
Yeah, and look, you had for a couple of years Florida Atlantic, and then they've gone kaput. And then you lose SMU to the ACC. Wichita State is one. When are they going to get back to being Wichita State? Maybe
I
ever.
agree. Look out for Wichita State. I'm with you there this year.
Yeah, because if they can get back, if they get back, then that's a great look. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. They're already a part of this conference. But you hope that they can become Wichita State, and that means another formidable opponent for Memphis. UAB looks to be okay. Tulane looks like they've taken a step back, but yeah,
sustainable at USF.
Right. And I think USF can be really good in both sports. I don't see why they can't, but they've gone up and down. Football, they've had their times when Levitt was the coach, and then they hit hard times, and now it looks like maybe they're on the rise. Basketball's had bits and pieces, go way back to the days of B.B. Walden and guys like that, but Atkins. But again, few and far between.
I think it was B.B. Wells and another guy named Walden, wasn't it?
I think it was B.B. Walden, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure.
He was a Wells and Walden in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure B.B. Walden, because I remember that guy vividly. But, look, it only benefits Memphis if this conference becomes better, because, gosh, if you have a slip-up and lose in the conference championship game and you didn't put together this unbelievable record in your non-conference, you're not getting in.
I'd take Tom Kleinschmidt and DePaul back right now.
He won who back? DePaul and who?
Tom Kleinschmidt. Remember him with DePaul?
No, I do remember some really good players that they had.
Yeah.
DePaul, but that was so long. That was back in ancient times, man. That
really
was when
was.
they were playing four corners and there was no shot clock.
That's right.
Well, Greg, always
stuff,
fun
man.
talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Greg.
Greg Gaston joining us to talk Tigers. We need to get to a break. We're going to talk to Doug Kazarian on the other side. But before we do that, I know a lot of people in the market for maybe a new vehicle. Let me point you into the direction of Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the 2025 Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. And it's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Also, take a look at the 2025 Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The 2025 Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. And don't forget about the 2025 Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The 2025 Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call today at 877-259-6169 or go online to jaguarbluffcity.com. Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some games and get some picks from Doug Kazarian.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest. I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money, but just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. It's not being cheap, it's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store, except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value. Exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, Memphis' direct diamond importer, and power importers extended.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now, Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com out in Vegas. He joins us to talk some of these big games for the weekend. Doug, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start off with the game that starts here in a couple of hours. 49ers and Seahawks Thursday Night Football. Right now, the 49ers 3.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 48.5. Brett and I discussed the total earlier. Do you like anything, have any feel in this game tonight?
I don't love anything. It's a tough call. I think it's a situation where Seattle or pass. Like in pick'em leagues, I'm on the Seahawks. I think 3.5 is too much. I get it. The Niners should be a better record than 2 and 3, but things also have broken their way, and they've gotten a free pass in a lot of ways. And this is still a team that could be suffering a Super Bowl hangover. And I was really impressed with Seattle against the Lions on Monday night. Last week they laid an egg, but the Giants had a huge rest advantage. So cautiously, I lean Seahawks, but I like the under a little bit more. It's now come down to 48.5.
Doug, there's so many things we love about you, and one of the first things for both of us is in having anybody on picking games. One of my favorite answers is I don't like anything instead of constantly pumping this, and you got to drive to your website. That's what you do. You got to do things like that. But just constantly, having a hot take on UTEP against Nevada. Come on. And I love I don't really like anything. Here's another thing we really like about you. Last week, 1-1 college football. 2-1 NFL on Thursdays with us this year. You're 17-8.
Okay.
We really
like that.
College football. Any way can it match last week? Vandy, one of the big stories, maybe the story of the year. I compared it to the United States in Lake Placid beating the Soviet Union. Any way Vandy or another upset like that can occur again this weekend?
Well, yes, because it's college football. As humans, we don't deserve college football. It's hilarious. You have the widest range of performance in the sport. You have, like a Liberty game, and then you have Georgia, Alabama at an elite level. It's just hilarious. And you get the field goal post drag to downtown Nashville. Mm-hmm. It's just absolutely hysterical. The variance of fun we can have in the sport. So last week everyone was talking about how it was such a horrible card or whatever, and then look what happened. So you got to expect the unexpected in college football. 5 teams ranked in the top 11 go down. That's just the beauty of the sport, and we just don't know when it's going to occur.
And Vandy's back out at this weekend. Kentucky, when we last saw them, they were winning as 16-point underdogs in Oxford against Ole Miss, and Vandy shocking the world. Vanderbilt at Kentucky, who knew we'd have that game circled?
Right. So this is something we call in the sports betting world, it's flat spots. It's situational handicapping. What's the situation? You have to factor in the human element to all of this. Imagine you're in Nashville and you're a Vanderbilt player. Think about how hard it is to focus on the next team. You just had the game of your life, like you said, but you believe in miracles kind of concept. And as a former media member, I would go to practice on Tuesday and Wednesday. Do you think I'm asking them questions about their game coming up this weekend? Or am I asking them questions about last weekend? Or, hey, what's it like being in class on Monday? Did any professors call you out? The focus, given their kids, is definitely on last weekend. Now, maybe today it's like, okay, so what do we got with Kentucky here? What coaches are trying their hardest, right? Coaches are doing what they can, but pushing the right buttons to get teams to focus on the next job is really hard. We see it with the service academies. They can do it, and then Saban would do it over the years, but we see it in the NFL all the time. That's the NFL. So I just do not believe at Vanderbilt players, given how young they are, to have the professional maturity to focus on Kentucky and bring it the next game. So I'm going to lay the 13.5 with Kentucky.
At home. Kentucky at home over Vanderbilt. And Kentucky all of a sudden could play their way into, some more prominence. Doug Kazarian with us. You saw him forever on ESPN, and he's been with us on a lot of Thursday afternoons. And go to his site, onlyplayers.com. Doug in Vegas with a great handle on everything out there. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. And this week, the college football schedule, this is the whole schedule we had circled back at Media Days. Maybe not Kentucky and Vandy, but we sure had Oregon and Ohio State and other big games in the Big Ten and SEC. What are some of your favorite games this weekend?
So let's keep it with the flat spot concept. Washington, really big win last week against Michigan. You had the Wolverines coming in. Washington played well at home. Second half, they pulled away. Big win. Well, now they got to go to Iowa. And an early kick for a West Coast team, 9 a.m. body clock, and Iowa's going to run all over them. They really are. Iowa's actually much better than people realize. They just got killed by Ohio State. Who cares? I'd rather have Iowa coming off a loss and more focused. Kirk Ferentz teams don't beat themselves. Washington has a high level of penalties. That's why this number got bet up from 1.5 to 3. I still think it's the good right side at Iowa -3, but I like the over more. That's my favorite play of the weekend, over 42. I think we're going to see some points with Washington and Iowa. I also like Pitt -3. Talk about flat spots. Cal, the entire school was focused on College game day. First time game day had been to Berkeley ever. You had a night game. They had a big lead, and then the demoralizing loss with the Hurricanes coming all the way back. And now you got Pitt, which is really solid this year. I believe undefeated against the spread, laying 3. It's not an early body clock. It's not a 9 a.m. game, but still 12:30 West Coast time, but it's at Pitt. I have to lay the 3. I think the Panthers take care of business. I like Justin Wilcox a lot, especially in the underdog role. I like Cal, but really tough to get Cal to respond in this situation.
This is two of my favorite kind of off-Broadway coaches, Narduzzi against Wilcox, both of them kind of just grinders. I like Eli Holstein and Pitt. I love that pick. Pitt, one of only 12 undefeated teams left in college football. Oregon and Ohio State. Oregon's got the early wake-up call to host game day. They got to match Berkeley, and they can do it at Eugene.
Yeah, I like the Ducks here at 3, home dog. I know a lot of sharp bettors waiting for this number to come down to 2.5. So there will be Ohio State money once it gets below 3. But I understand the line movement from 3.5 to 3. It's really hard to go into Autzen and against a polished coaching staff, right? This is not the Oregon coaching staffs of the past. You got Dan Lanning and company, the Georgia pedigree, and I think they'll be ready for this game. Now, at first glance, Ohio State has looked better, no, without a doubt. Oregon really struggled out of the gates, kind of played with their food against UCLA, pick 6 at the end of the first half. They haven't looked the part. But this game isn't being played based on performance from the last couple months. It's based on moving forward. And I think Oregon's more likely to regress to the mean, what we expect from them. And Dylan Gabriel's an experienced quarterback in big games. I trust him much more than I trust Ohio State. I just think there's more ways for the Ducks to cover than Ohio State, given it's at Autzen Stadium and Oregon's catching 3.
Yeah. Could be the first of 3 matchups for these teams, just like Georgia and Bama we were thinking. Right. But Oregon and Ohio State could meet in Big Ten championship game and in the playoffs.
Totally. And let's see if Oregon's ready for this, right? They kind of laid an egg last year in the Pac-12 title game. Well, they're the Big Ten now, and you get some of the big boys. So let's see them deliver.
Mm-hmm. Doug, you mentioned a couple minutes ago you like this Pitt game against Cal, and I think a lot of people probably this week when they look up, they're looking at the slate, they're looking at those top 25 teams that are playing, and they see Pittsburgh, number 22 in the country, 5-0, and going, where did this come from? Kind of an under-the-radar team through the first half of the season. What do you like? What have you seen from this Pitt team that has really separated them from Pitt teams in the past?
Well, I think I do think Narduzzi's a little bit of a meathead. He's definitely married to the field goal and stuff like that, and he's bothered me in the past. But they've come around offensively. They will light it up offensively. And if you look at their scores, worst performance was 28. So they will put up points. Now, this is a step up in competition, but they've won close games. So they haven't buckled in close games like at Cincy and at North Carolina last weekend. UNC was, this was a short number, and this was a hard-fought game, and they outscored Carolina 10-0 in the fourth quarter. So I think it's a team that's battle-tested and hungry, and they're not satisfied. I just think it's a bet against Cal more than it's a bet on Pitt. Right. Now, obviously, it helps that I believe in the Panthers a little bit, but I think this is just an impossible spot for Justin Wilcox to push the right buttons to get his team ready to play in a sport that requires physicality and energy.
And the travel for Cal. They've been to Auburn. They've been to FSU. They had the emotion last week. Doug, I think you got a really, really great side and great handle on this game. Saturday night at Tiger Stadium, I'll be there for Ole Miss against LSU. Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin, no strangers. They've met against Notre Dame and USC years. I want to pick on that game. But also, do you have some favorite go with or go against coaches?
I'm sorry, you're cut out. Which game do you want to pick on? I'm sorry?
LSU hosting Ole Miss Saturday.
Yeah, look, the spot says LSU, right? You got the Tigers ready to rock. Ole Miss, I like the under. I know that's painful, and you might have to see a cardiologist before you make that bet. It's 63 to bet an under in this LSU team, but the Ole Miss defense is much better than people realize, and we saw the Rebels offense struggle against Kentucky once they actually had to face a somewhat legitimate defense. The offense was stuck in a lot of ways. I am impressed with how Ole Miss responded off the loss. Frankly, I liked the dog in that game. I liked South Carolina, and they completely dominated that game. So if you look at they've given up 20 points and 3 points in 2 SEC games. Now, LSU is obviously a different animal offensively than South Carolina and Kentucky, but I think we're going to see kind of a tight, a 30-27 game, one of those. The spot favors LSU, home dog, Death Valley at night. You're getting over a field goal. But I think defense travels, and I'm impressed with Ole Miss so far. I just think that's going to sneak under the total.
I like it. There's some really fun games this weekend, if we're being honest. A really good slate in college football. Doug, as always, we love having you on, love getting picks from you. Enjoy this weekend. We'll do it again next week.
All right. Always appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend. Good luck to everyone.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Doug Kazarian joining us from onlyplayers.com. He's out in Vegas joining us every Thursday to give us some great picks for the weekend. Well, let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa sale. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest sponsor might go on forever. Family Leisure. Witten Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
Scott Graham here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. From Seattle, NFC West action coming up when the 3-2 Seahawks host the 2-3 San Francisco 49ers. Both are coming off losses last week, and both are looking for their first win in the division. Kevin Kugler and former NFL head coach Ron Rivera will call the action of the 49ers at the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh cracked American cheese, bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese, bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours. Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Is your house slash your office building? Impossible! Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 915246799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover. Once
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, and I actually just learned it, so I'm quite honestly learning it right now, but on ESPN, and this was posted about an hour ago, Cal taps NASA specialist amid concerns over ACC travel. So Cal getting NASA involved.
We just mentioned it.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It's the travel concerns are definitely there. They've been talked about a lot. I remember seeing the stories after Cal had decided to join the ACC that it was going to be more than $2 million that would be dedicated to travel, the extensive travel that they would have to do going from California to some of these colleges in the ACC. So I'm really interested to read this entire story, but it sounds like they brought in a NASA specialist to give a presentation to the school's sports team. He specialized in recovery across time zones, how the body can recover under duress. It was very informative. Someone said from Cal. It was Mark Madsen that said it. We were all there, all the head coaches. A lot of great information was shared. The bottom line is we'll come out during conference play. We'll come out either 2 days early or 1 day early, depending on the academic workload. So they're already trying to get prepared for basketball, some of those winter and spring sports, for all of this travel that they'll have to do.
it's going to be super weird. I don't even know if they play this year, but when we see Cal on a Tuesday night playing in Bloomington against IU, no, that won't be a game. That's not an ACC
see
game.
Him against Duke. I mean, see him
against Pitt.
Against Pitt, yeah. I mean, it's
like
just crazy.
Like in football.
Yeah, it's insane.
I just got maybe the best tweet I've ever gotten in a response from anybody ever.
Okay.
Did you know there were exact Stanley Cup matchups you could bet?
I did not know that.
Nice person just tweeted at me that he had just bet $10 on my Stanley Cup final.
How about that?
67-1.
All right. Well, we're all in now.
Maple Leafs and Predators.
All right. Let's see what happens.
67-1. Also learned Mets owner Steve Cohen, he can rake it all in if they keep winning. He can say, I told you so all he wants. He spent a lot. It's controversial. But the potential of a Subway Series against the Yankees, that'll make it all worth it.
Yeah, it absolutely will, 100%. What I could have done without it, something we talked about earlier, but the Raiders have announced that they're benching Gardner Minshew and starting Aiden O'Connell as their starting quarterback, which going into the season, I don't think anybody was very confident in the quarterback play they had. But now putting Aiden O'Connell in there against the Steelers after the Steelers came off a loss that they probably thought they should have won in that game against Dallas. I would not want to be making my first start of the season against that Steelers defense. It could get ugly, but I think the rest of the season is going to be ugly for the Raiders, and I think we're going to be talking about them with a top spot in next year's NFL draft, talking about what quarterback do they take off the board.
Brian, maybe my crowning radio moment is somebody betting real hard-earned American cash on my Stanley Cup picks.
That's great.
I would
Good
bet
odds
1
for
cent
sure.
on my Stanley
Well,
Cup pick.
I didn't want to say it. You did.
Could have done without the Tampa Bay Rays are set to move in a new stadium opening day 2028. The Trop took a big hit last
Sure
night
did. Holy cow.
with Milton hitting. They're going to have to find a place to play. Next year, there's going to be 2 teams that will be, just out there casting about trying to find a place to play. The A's and the Rays. There's no way that they're going to spend that kind of money with it coming down in a few years.
I actually saw an interview the other day with one of the players from Oakland. I can't remember now who it was, but they were asking him about the new ballpark that they're going to be playing at in Sacramento and what he knows about. And he's like, I've never been there. They've been telling us about it. And he said that they are putting up a clubhouse just for the A's that's going to be in center field. And so it's going to be out behind center field, and so I guess they're going to have to come in from center field before every single game. And in the in this interview, it was on a podcast. They compared it to spring training. That he was like, it's going to be like spring training every single game, where we're going to jog out from center field to get to the dugout. And he was bringing up like real concerns of like if you're pinch hitting and you where the batting cage is going to be, you can't go swing
to go watch
get
film.
loose. Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't think they've really put much thought into before this move to Sacramento. Where are you beaming tonight?
Kansas City, again, great scene last night. It was everything but a win for the hometown Royals. They tonight could be closed out by the Yankees. Garrett Cole against Michael Wacha. Michael Wacha 4-3 in his career in the postseason. All 4 of those wins came in 2013.
Wow.
When he was a rookie with the Cardinals, when we thought he was going to be Chris Carpenter.
That's exactly right. Beam me tonight to this Thursday night football game up in Seattle. 49ers against the Seahawks. This line is moving now. San Francisco 4-point favorites tonight on the road. I think a lot of questions for both these teams. Should be fun.
JMU tonight against Coastal Carolina, and that's Darian's. He wants that as his college football lock.
Wow, JMU, what is it, -7.5? Is that
We'll give it to him.
All right, he can have it. I'll definitely give him that. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs.